Click.
And now we wait for the tubes to make noise, or not. Who knows?
We send out all the kilobytes. The kills. The kilolives. I heard a boop. I heard a blink.
You heard a boop, and the tubes blooped, so we are live.
Oh no. What is up, beautiful people? Just getting ready for another Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays. It's the most extreme. None of that's true. It's where we're going to talk about some Linuxy stuff that we found interesting. Kind of a big show going on. Sup, Jill?
Oh. Hey, Jill.
Alright, we're still just getting some of the last dangly bits together. Effectively, we're waiting to see what I forgot to do. Let's just be honest.
Basically, waiting to see what catches on fire. But hey, at least now the cameras are rolling, so it'll all be recorded.
That's probably how I'm going to go out, man. You know, you get like the guys like doing the valiant effort. Mine's going to be dying of a stroke or a heart attack, and my last energy will be spent to make sure the record button is pressed. Let's see. What do we got? Oh, 10 degrees. We've had a heat wave, man.
Okay, it was a bit warm when I walked out of the house today, but that's because of all the rain.
I mean, it's been getting up to like 14, 15 degrees.
Ooh, yeah. That's much warmer than it got here. Let's see, weather, Cambridge. Today, it peaked at 9 Celsius. And tomorrow, the peak is 10 Celsius. Okay, so it is warming up by a whole degree, but then Friday it comes back down to 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to know is whether or not it'll rain tomorrow. Doesn't look like it. Neat.
Got a reasonably tame 3338.
Oh yeah, right now it's 5 Celsius outside.
What's going on, everyone?
Hello. That no longer jostles everyone.
Thanks to Pizza Dude. Pizza Dude squirreled out when he realized it's like, I can get everyone's attention at the same time. Oh my god. And it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, so I was half awake, and it's like bling, 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 and I was like, disabled.
It was
Sup, drugs?
Yeah, around 9 a.m.-ish here. And I was awake. I can't remember what it was. I wasn't at work because I wasn't working yet. It's like, why the hell is Discord going off like crazy? What the... Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to put 2 and 13 together on that one, man.
It's like, why is everyone talking to me on Discord all of a sudden? It's like, oh no, that's not me specifically, right?
That's anything. All right. Okay, Multicom Pro, let's do another show. It's going to talk back to me one day. It'll scare the shit out of me. I'll probably fall out of the chair.
You're just going to give it the pep talk?
You'll hear me scream. Listen, man. This is a new piece of equipment in the tool chain. I want it to be like the Fonz. I want it to be cool.
Hey.
It's also used and relatively old, so... I gotta take this cable. This is an experiment cable I brought in, a science cable, if you will, to try an idea that did not work. Did blow my brains out with audio, though, because I caused a nasty loop back. Pro tip, kids, Take the headphones off or cut the volume all the way down before you just randomly start shoving quarter-inch jacks.
Yeah.
So Bartheron. All right.
Hey, Theron. So, Mr. Red, is that on wine, or are you still dual booting like a heathen?
Hmm?
Mr. Red says he may be addicted to Fallout again.
Where do you say that?
And IRC Shatbridge picked it up.
Oh.
Oh, on wine. All right.
Hmm.
Is that Fallout 4? Because I know that 3 and New Vegas work pretty well.
Why would you dual boot?
I don't know. Last.
Strider, you have Windows installed on your box, so I wouldn't. You got a pretty glass house there, is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, man. Make of that what you will.
Yeah, I haven't tried Fallout 4 ever since the full direct 3D11 implementation was officialized into Wine 3.0.
Hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That doesn't read like somebody has a problem. Oh, I don't use it. I don't need it. You know, I could quit any time, guys. Sounds a lot like that. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I might have to bug my little brother to renew the credentials on the family sharing so I can get some Fallout 4 action.
I'm too much of a zealot, man. Nope, not on Linux. Peace.
It's Fallout. My all-time favorite game is Fallout 2. I know the Bethesda Fallouts are only Fallout in name and very little else, but Fallout 3 wasn't terrible. I liked it more than I liked New Vegas. Yes, I'm one of those people. But
I don't know. None of the Fallout series was on. See, I respect Empty because Empty's like, you know what? I'm just going to buy PS4 before I'm going to buy give Microsoft money.
That was a $400 game that he bought.
Hmm? Apparently, people have gotten the PS2 titles and stuff like that. The recent PS4 hacking is kind of interesting to follow.
Mm-hmm. They need to find a way to dump the operating system off of the PS4 and start reverse engineering a proper emulator. They've done it before. Yeah, Poltergeist, and there's even one, I don't know if it is Poltergeist, but there is one of the open source re-implementations for Fallout 2 that also has, it adds multiplayer to the game. You can play just the regular world map in co-op, or you can set up, like, persistent worlds. That could be a Dark Fallout. That rings a bell. That could be the one.
Adding multiplayer to games that were never supposed to have it is a great idea. Works 100% of the time.
Except for D3C1708.
We've had a couple of maps, man. We've had a couple of maps. If you don't know what we're talking about, maybe you're just tuning in for the first time. We do a series on Tuesdays called Meet the Freemans, where us and a gang of patrons and people fans of the show were trying to beat the entirety of it. We're still on the Half-Life 2. And we're using the Synergy mod to multiplay it. And man, I would say if we have a good run, we were doing it an hour at a time, a good run, we only spend 30 minutes of the hour of playtime fighting the Synergy mod.
It's like, is this broken or are we missing something? And then, of course, on hard mode, the enemies are bullet sponges, so there's just a bunch of people dying. It's just a bunch of people dying.
Ultimately, they should just disable the pistol. It's useless equipment on hard mode.
Yeah. You could probably get away with just the regular combine and the head crabs, maybe the zombies, and even then, those are freaking bullet sponges.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else, new. Hell, those elite combines, the ones in the white suit, those take 2 shots of the magnum to die. 2.
Mad clouds, yo. Wait, I'm supposed to blow that directly in the camera and say, "What's up, fam? Smash that like button." Then I'll be a YouTube superstar.
Well, there was that whole pipe craze of channels just dedicated to pipe smoking on YouTube. So there's bound to be something similar, even classy, classy vaping on YouTube. I'm not just talking about Vape Nation because that's just annoying.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't understand anybody who gets into something and adopts it as a lifestyle. Like, don't let that identify you.
There were a lot of people that did that when the Pokemon Go craze was about.
People do it, man. I mean, it's not. We're talking about like religion, politics, sexuality, you name it.
Yeah.
It's intrinsic to just human. I was talking to Josh on Twitter. It's like, when will people? It's like tribalism. It's hardwired.
Yeah.
Black Mesa. Hopefully they'll be adding. They said they're going to add support in the Synergy mod for Black Mesa because we're going to time jump this. Once we get done with episode 2, we're going to start Black Mesa.
Yeah. Assuming it's done by then.
Well, okay. All right. Maybe. I mean, there might be a break because it's only going to take us like 2 years to get done. So it might not be out, but I'm going to continue calling it Black Mesa because if I have to build it and model it myself, I'm playing that entire run as Jar Jar, so I can go Mesa. You think I'm joking, but 2 years from now, somebody's going to be like, I remember that.
I get right. Like Mesa 30 hours?
Hmm?
I don't think it took me that long when I first played, although they may have elongated some of the levels since then. When I played one of the first available versions that they had, yeah, it wasn't 30 hours.
Never played Half-Life outside of just casually testing, like in the first area. It's like, oh, it runs, does the thing.
I started playing a Half-Life again when it came out on Linux. I think I got about halfway through. It's like, yeah, no, it's working fine. It's good new. I think I did finish either Blue Shift or Opposing Force on Linux. One of those.
Right. Doop the shoot. And I think I'm ready to go, man. Let's just say we're going to find out.
All right. So, oh, that's what I didn't do. Right, hold on.
Oh, no. It's very rare we do a hold on. It's me frantically. If anytime you just see the Pedro cam, just stay on Pedro for an inordinate amount of time. That's because I screwed something up and I'm violently trying to fix it behind the scenes. recording. Start recording. Okay, and you're going to open, so.
Okay.
Oh, what's the name of the distro? I want to put that after down here.
Tracks down on NHOS.
Mm-hmm. Right. That was your go.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Squirrel.
Yeah. Slack fits into a snap.
The Department of Health cracks down on NHOS.
Linus gives Intel some business.
And VR on a budget. All that and more coming up. That's right. It's another great day for Linux, everyone. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. And welcome back to Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, where we're going to sit back, relax, and talk about some of the fun things that we found going on in Penguin Land. And every single week, that's my co-host, the beautiful person in Britannia, one Pedro Mateus, which confuses YouTube commenters. It's like he's clearly talking with an American accent. Why is he why is he addressing pounds? America. I don't understand that either, but it's definitely a thing. I'm Vin Stone, old man Vin. You know me. Tolerate me. Whatever. And we're about to get right into it. Anything new going on? I know we're going to be talking about the NHS.
Really. Yeah, and I'm going to have to be somewhat careful because there is a bit of a policy in place about discussing things what happened at work. So yeah.
And I had bank adventures. I'm going to say this: good guy SunTrust for, speaking of pounds, cashing a check that I had. Not cashing, depositing, because I opened an account with them. I liked it so much with no fees. That was made out in Britannia Lamy currency. All right, so let's get right into this. Earlier this week, Slack, it's been around, but this comes from Ubuntu. You know it. And it's now got a snap pack. Is this a good thing? I don't know. I don't use Slack, Pedro.
Honestly, neither do I. It is an Electron app, so it doesn't necessarily need to be in a Snap or a Flatpak or whichever package you want to use. It's an Electron app, and it's Slack. You know Slack. Chances are, if you've been on the internet, you've seen the articles on Lifehacker or Gizmodo or whatever. You know what Slack is. It's basically Discord without the gaming. It's what sort of inspired Discord to become what it is, with that UI layout, with the way that the rooms work and everything else.
True. You say that, but I've witnessed Slack, and there's as many bots and tomfoolery, because this is our family-friendly show. Trust me, I would have used a different going on in Slack as there is in Discord. Actually, some might argue more. But I think,
probably more, since it's been around longer.
Mm-hmm. But it's a snapback. That's neat. I have... I'm running 1710, uninstalled Snap until they get the loopback device thing, because that needs to be solved. Mm-hmm. It's a cosmetic issue, but it shows up in file management, and yeah, that needs to get sorted. But good on them. But we're not going to bury the lead. We're going to talk about the NHS. That's something Pedro knows a thing or two about.
Yes, I do. I work for Health Education England, which is one of the companies that is part of the NHS. And this story kind of rang a bell with me because I'm a Linux user in a world dominated by Windows. And turns out there was a team of people working on NHS Ubuntu, which then had to be rebranded to NHOS to escape a possible trademark lawsuit. Of course, that was all for naught, because the Department of Health lawyers cracked down on the team that was working on NHOS, and they said, nope, you're using the NHS brand. It's highly recognizable. You can't do that. So it's a cease and desist.
Hmm.
And they said, well, it's the final straw. And they're kind of giving up on the project. Now, the project was actually a very good idea. The end goal was to have an operating system that could replace Windows and save the NHS a ton of money. And as long as everything that needs to work is working. But there is a big issue with the NHS, which is there are a lot of smart cards. A lot of doctors, even people in health education in England, use smart cards. So you need to have that smart card functionality to interact with the NHS systems. And that was a bit of a problem.
It's definitely a thing, man. And the team putting that together, it was basically 4 core members behind that. Mm-hmm. And what it read to me was, not being ageist, but a bunch of stodgy, ill-educated people were both angered and confused by Floss software. We had a talk before we went live about some stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it kind of seems like they are. But, we can't really talk about that. Pedro, what do you think about this? Because there's a bit of controversy about, in the news lately in Britannia, that the NHS not getting enough funding. And I think that argument, not politics at all, the argument of the NHS and these systems, it's not being underfunded when it's really just a spending wisely issue, maybe with this particular thing. But what kind of gets me about this is what I titled in the show notes. This isn't Microsoft Strikes Again. This is just how they do business, man.
But yeah, there's also the Microsoft argument, which the Register article mentions. As it turns out, NHS England was in talks with Microsoft about getting cheaper licenses. And when Microsoft finally caved, all of a sudden, the team that was working on NHS Ubuntu gets a cease and desist order. Now, Hanlon's razor teaches us not to attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by incompetence, and we all know that incompetence in the NHS is a very good thing. I mean, just look at Jeremy Hunt. He's still in charge of it.
I don't know. Sad to see, and I honestly think this is something that they could have fought, with a trademark issue, but I understand why they didn't. Don't fault them at all, because you don't want to go up against the government. That's always a bad idea. But speaking of the NHS, this is something I kind of ran across that was suggested when I was looking into this story. I just wanted to give it a little love, a little bit of a plug, because it's hospital run. It's a free, easy-to-use software for developing world healthcare, and it's offline enabled. That's why I wanted to give it a mention. Like, say you're in a place like Tanzania, and or any part of the developing world. And how would you describe it, Pedro? You know more about this than I do.
This is It's built on Node.js, Ember.js, my bad, and it works offline. That's the big selling point. You still need a browser or something that can render JavaScript, but it works completely offline, and when you go online, it syncs up with the cloud service, whatever you're using to store the database, and it keeps a local copy, which makes it very, very easy for, say, a doctor that goes out into Africa, somewhere where internet's just not a thing for miles and miles on end, and still have access to all of their patient files, their clinical histories, everything. It's all there, and it's got a nice GUI because it works, it's like a web page, and it presents everything very neatly, and it's just a good idea all around.
Yeah, I like it. I like that it's open source, and it will probably be met with roughly the same type of resistance, not necessarily from Microsoft, but from the companies just making all the money with that locked-in specialized software. Yeah. That's when the price kind of hockey sticks a lot of the time. So, hey, that's out there. If you know anybody in that particular situation, I think OpenEMR, suggested by Friedrich, that's also a thing as well. That's that. We need to talk about 415, though.
Oh, yes. Let's get onto the kernel. Because we know that 415 is right around the corner. We've seen all the announcements about there's a new release candidate. Go out and test it. Well, turns out we need another release candidate, RC9, because Linus had some issues with the latest kernel. There was a particular bug which was causing certain machines to just not boot. And a couple of other patches that also made their way into the kernel, which we will talk about in a moment. But yeah, he said that he wasn't comfortable putting out something that wasn't done, and he's far more comfortable with adding another release candidate on top of just releasing something that's busted.
I don't have a problem with this, man. This is great. This is don't test in production. And, considering the absolute shite storm at Spectre and WannaCry and all that, an extra RC, I genuinely came to that. It's like, I'm not even mad, bro. It's go for it. I'm happy on 4.14, whatever it is this week, 13, or I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I understand. It was like, no, I guess the news is just the release cycle, but clearly understandable why you don't want to rush things, given the current environment.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a particular thing that makes this current environment all the more fun, especially if you like Linus's rants.
Because I'm just going to say this. Linus is my spirit animal.
Oh, yeah.
Linus Torvalds slams Intel Spectre and Meltdown fixes as garbage, and that's the nice thing he said, if you want to look at this. Because you just got to love the straightforward, uncensored comments from Linus when it comes to garbage being published in the kernel, because he does not hold back. He throws it down. He is a benevolent dictator, which is true. He takes a swipe at a former Intel engineer, and basically, is this an incorrect assumption when I'm going to say this, Pedro? He's like, listen, a simple software patch is not set it and forget it. This is not going to be the permanent fix. This is not how we're going to do it. This is going to involve microcode and doing it right.
Yeah, and it was the issue was also the fact of how Intel was trying to work around without actually fixing the Spectre and Meltdown exploits. That was the big sticking point for Linus, because as he kind of punctuated, it's like, as it is, the patches are complete and utter garbage. And he also says that's actually ignoring the much worse issue, namely that the whole hardware interface is literally misdesigned by morons. He just called Intel morons.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. I'm shocked after seeing how warm and cuddly he was with NVIDIA, Pedro. Whatever you mean.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He painted NVIDIA a pretty picture. Now he's painting Intel an even prettier one. Let's just say, well, he also painted AMD a pretty picture when they tried to introduce that hardware abstraction layer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, remember that?
Well, Intel's got a lot of problems, and AMD's got some problems too, 100%. And Red Hat kind of took notice of that, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And, well, if you haven't heard, turns out that the Spectre patches are causing issues. If you have a Haswell or older Intel CPU, you may be stuck in a boot loop. And as it turns out, servers don't get new hardware all that often. If it works, don't fix it, right?
No, so, you're supposed to install the latest. Strider in our chat is the reason that developers do not make good sysadmins.
But yeah, as it turns out, servers running older Intel chips were outright breaking with the Spectre patches, and that's a big no-no. So Red Hat said, you know what? No, we're not having any of this. And they just pulled the patches, and they literally said Intel that they need to fix this before we even try to apply any more patches coming from them. And it's really a really bad past couple of months to be Intel. Everything that's been mounting up, and it just culminates on production box servers just outright not working.
We also got to look at this, man. I mean, this is not just Red Hat. Dell announced, it was either yesterday or this morning, Dell's like, quit installing these patches. dude, that's a throwback for old people like me. Just to straight up avoid them because it's not happy fun times right now. And listen, this is a wicked serious issue. Despite what Wintel is telling you, everyone knows Windows and everyone knows Intel, so we're calling them Wintel. It's like what was some celebrity marriage mashup thing? Just roll with it. Get back to me. They're trying to get everyone to believe, this is not going to be sorted with a few simple patches on the software side, as I was saying earlier. And ARM by itself is probably like the only chip maker that I've seen remotely doing the right thing here. I mean, their patches have been a little bit buggy. They have been performance heavy in a negative way, but at least they're being transparent about it. And they're like, yo, some things are broken. Unlike what Intel is, Intel's like, poof, smokescreen. And AMD is relying on the time-honored tradition of like, we're not saying anything until something really blows up, which is a valid strategy.
Put out one official statement.
Right.
One.
Let's just go radio silence and hope this blows. This is not blowing over people. And don't let anyone convince you that Meltdown is an Intel-only problem. I mean, because it is. I'm just messing with you. It also affects, it just affects Intel at all. Because I've seen a lot of people out there saying, but it affects ARM too. And you know what?
It affected one chip. One. That wasn't even released.
That chip's not out yet. So, yeah, and that was co-designed by Intel. You can put 2 and 13 together in that by yourself and draw your own conclusions. Not defending ARM, I'm just saying I believe ARM has handled this more transparently. And with a serious issue like this, that's probably the good way to do it. Don't do the time-honored tactic of, smokescreen, poof, and get that sorted. So, Pedro, this next thing coming up is I'm going to end up playing with this because this is so neat, but man, I have been racking my brain for 2 days trying to figure out why in the world I would need to run Windows applications on Android.
There's probably someone that is desperately trying to do that for one reason or another. It's more of the current implementation. Now, this was bound to happen. We all knew it was coming. There were plenty of emulators out there that let you sort of emulate x86 on Android, but there was nothing like Wine. Well, Wine is now available for Android. There's a first alpha, the first alpha release came out in August 2016, and they've been improving it considerably, but currently it still doesn't translate Direct 3D into OpenGL or OpenGLES.
Wait. Are you trying to tell me I won't be able to play Fallout 4 on my phone?
No.
They're just completely useless. They just need to stop the project right now. I mean,
you'll probably be able to play No Man's Sky if you have a big honking tablet that can actually handle that, because that's an OpenGL game.
Right now somebody is out there as we are live trying to get Skyrim running on this because they were too cheap to buy a Switch, which I respect.
Okay, yeah. And yeah, the new NVIDIA tablet K1s, well, I say new, they're like 2 years old now, but those are like $200, 180 pounds a pop, so yeah.
I think it's neat, something to keep an eye on, because really, like, serious talk is, it's a good idea to get started with this type of stuff, because definitely in like 5 years, I hate saying 10 years because the future has always been 10 years away. Like 5+ years, the whole, you take your mobile, you stick it in a dock, bam, add water, you have a desktop rig. That is going to become a thing. It is going to get there eventually. And it'll be good to be prepared. And that's the thing. Yep. Regardless, moral of the story, support code weavers. Yeah, because they definitely do a great job. So, what do we got? Oh, Nightmare Fuel. I don't like this. This is scary.
Yes.
I'm not talking about the project. I'm talking about the concept of doing it. Build your own VR headset for 100 wet, stinky caches. We couldn't afford an Oculus, so we built one. That's going after my own heart. However, However, I like to keep the ratio of things that I personally built that end up strapped to my face organ. That magic ratio is 0 to 0, not to not for me, because that's kind of dangerous. But they stuck this thing together with an Arduino display, some lenses, and quite a bit of time. That looks 3D printed.
Yes, it does. I guess the cost doesn't really add to it, the cost of a 3D printer. That can actually make something that won't snap the moment you put those rubber straps on it. But yeah, it's a cheap VR headset. It's a very low resolution, probably very barf-inducing VR headset, but it's cheap. And if they can improve on like the tracking of the movement of the head and get a higher resolution screen still on the cheap, that will probably make a very big difference. And hey, if you're going into the VR quote-unquote market, emphasis on the quotes, yeah, probably starting at the cheap, low cost, whatever you want to call it, route is the way to do it, I think.
Yeah, I see a lot of people in chat say, go use a cardboard. No, that does require a mobile phone. And unless you're living in Freedom America, you're going to be buying everything off contract. So that's, you're looking at 500 to 700 of your local currencies as your initial investment. And this is the type of things that you end up making that are really neat. They take a lot of time, low on resources, not necessarily for gaming. This is to kill some time, learn some new things because you're not of the legal drinking age. And this is what you do. I've been there. Trust me, true story. I say good on them. And hey, man, might be good to introduce like to a class or at your local makerspace if you have that.
Yeah.
And get people interested. So I heard about this OBS Studio 21.1 update, and I was like, meh, update. Then they said, we added numbers to the VU meters. You, sir, have my attention. But that's not all. OBS, what is it? Open Broadcast Studio. It's on Linux. It's what we're using right now to switch this business. They've added Python scripting, so that is just, that's kind of terrifying thoughts about what I can start doing with that. That's using Python 3. Support is there. They've got a multi-view projector. They've lowered some of the CPU usage for your preview scenes, but a usable VR meter hashtag squee will wonders never cease. Praise Flying Spaghetti Monster. And they have a gang of additional updates and fixes, not just for Linux, but for Mac and to a lesser extent Windows. I will say this is interesting way to do the VU meter. If you know anything about audio, which I barely know things about audio, but I know a little bit. I know not 0dB is not clipping. That's called unity, and that's where green should be, not where clipping ends. But they did it their way. It's just nice to have an actual number level. I'm looking at it right now. And you know what, Pedro? Give me your thoughts on it. I'll show the people at home what it looks like.
Yeah, well, it's OBS. Chances are you've probably tinkered with it. Look, there's a floating window right there. As I'm talking, you can see the thing moving. That's neat. That's the new feature. And yeah, we are using OBS to stream this right now. And I use OBS to capture the game footage that you usually see on Linux Gamecast Weekly during the review. It's exactly what Linux users want. It's that kind of software that we've been clamoring for years. It's developed in parity for Windows and Mac and Linux, and they do it without resorting to nasty tricks or wrapping it in wine or building an Electron app, Discord. But that is the kind of stuff that if you're building a native app which works really well regardless of what operating system you're using, Linux users are more than happy to use it. And if you do what OBS did and you make the Studio variant open source, not only do you get Linux users using it, you get Linux users contributing to it, you get Linux users fixing it, expanding on it, doing loads and loads of stuff for the exact same price that you're putting out your software. For free.
It's a good piece of kit. Jill, I agree with you, and I'm also looking at you, developer behind Pavu Control. Why don't we have actual numbers? That would be nice, but Yeah, it's good. We're running it. It seems stable. We made a script if you want to get the latest and greatest forever ago. It's you can go check out Lutris, do a search for it on the internet. Or it was in their PPA. I added the
Yep.
It's not OBS's directly. I don't believe it is, but it's the OBS PPA.
It is now.
Oh, it is now? All right. Well,
Yeah.
That's good to know. That got updated. It works. It's not crashy. We've done 2 streams with it, so good on that business. So, Pedro, we don't read like 5 or 6 ads in 1 hour, right?
No, we do not.
Do you know?
And that is because...
I was going to say, man. Do you want to start doing that?
Given the option, no. No. No, I know I can be a bit of a shill sometimes, but no, I'd rather not read ads.
But what if they're from Microsoft?
You know, that depends on how big that check is.
We're only half joking, ladies and gentlemen. There's a long-running thing on the gaming show we do Saturdays. It's like, we'll never do ads unless we can talk Microsoft into sponsoring the show, because it'll be fun to just dump on Microsoft for an entire show. Who we need to thank are our beautiful, gorgeous party patrons, keeping us away from those ads. This is our main source of financing for not only this show, but for the Tuesday stream, Thursday stream, and that nightmare we do that is completely not safe for work every Saturday night. That's why we call it a Saturday night train wreck. 112 patrons kicking us 233. Getting a little Irish on me. What stinky caches, and you get access to a bunch of cool things that we have that unlock up to and not including, well, actually including our Discord chat, where we like to hang out the other 6 days of the week. But the reason we want to bring this up is because we get to thank some of the new people and some of the people who've been around. Give a little shout out. Who do we got this week, man? Who do we got?
This week we have Scott Michaud, our second favorite Canadian, has increased his pledge. Thank you very much, Scott.
See, here's the thing about Scott. All the respect I got for Scott is he short-circuited Pedro with Canadian kindness on Twitter.
He's just way too Canadian for me.
Pedro didn't know what to do. He was used to dealing with Jordan, and he thought he was going to pick an internet fight. And Scott's like, nah, man, everything's cool. Peace and love. It's like, and just stormed off.
Pretty much. We also have the Targos. He backed us at the executive producer level. Thank you very much, the Targos.
The Targos, man, check that business out. Let's see. Yep. Let's see.
There he is.
Yep.
He is in the Discord. I don't think he's online right now, but he is every now and then. And we also have Freedom Penguin. That name sounds familiar. Does it have a certain Matt Hartley behind it?
Maybe it's Matt Hartley. Either that or it's something far more devious. Somebody asked that on the Patreons. It's like, yes. Could this possibly be Matt Hartley? It's like, kind of hope it is. It's a thing. Check it out, freedompenguin.com. And we want to welcome back Grayson has returned.
Woohoo!
That's super cool. Before we get into Slice Bite, we want to prepare everyone for this. Got a big announcement next week. So, it's kind of big.
Ominous.
It's we've got some new goals. Starting the new year off late because we're us. And, you know, Dance Monkey Dance. We're doing what we can with what we got, kids. And, but what we got in store is hopefully going to be pretty cool. And everyone's going to enjoy it and look forward to it and make it happen. So let's dive into a slice of 3.14.
0.15, whatever. Well, this is a facial recognition. It's not exactly a module. It's a bit of a contraption that Deku Nukem built. He used a Raspberry Pi 3 and the Raspberry Pi camera module along with an OLED screen to give you some output as to what you're doing. And what it does is facial recognition. It takes a 400 by 400 picture of your face, and they highly recommend that you have a well-lit room so that the picture is as crystal clear as possible. And from that base picture, that's how it works, the facial recognition, and that's how it can do all of its magic. You want to set it to unlock your machine when you walk close to it or you sit down at your chair? You can. You want to do I don't know, creepy spying on your neighbors, you could do that too. Hi, NSA.
That's everyone's first thought is like, why would I put a device in my house that would spy? It's like, do you know how many of those I already own? Are you kidding me? Then again, we're semi.
Do you have an Android phone?
Right. No. I thought interesting use case would be, hey, get up and walk around and jump around. Notifications or something. You've been sitting down too long. Move. It's like, that thing better be easy to cut off. Or it could remind you to drink some water, because if you didn't have a device to remind you to drink some water, you would die because you're art-tard. Or it could be like, hey, don't do crack. Just a friendly reminder. Don't do crack cocaine. It might not be conducive to good health. So that's neat. Something to play with. A billion uses, I'm sure. So,
yeah.
Beowulf cluster of pie, man. We've had a couple of people stick them together before, but this is
massive.
750 Pi 3s in a single box, pulling 4 kilowatts of power. And it's all in a single box, man. I'm really impressed by that, because back in my day, we made clusters of like Mac G4s and PlayStations. This is the new sauce. This is what the kids are playing with. And this is above my pay grade. I don't even know what's our use case for this, man?
Use case, well, let's see. If you want to have like a render farm at your work and you have all those Raspberry Pis laying around, chances are this is going to make at least the hardware logistics considerably easier. You'll still need to figure out the software, but hey, it's a Raspberry Pi. It's what you're there for. And the case looks really good. That's a very striking, very professional-looking thing that just holds 750 Raspberry Pis.
What was it, at like 35U? When you think about it, that's still kind of impressive. Heat dissipation might be an issue, but
you're going to need a lot of fans.
I think HVAC systems come into play here, man. You need to keep that thing like solidly refrigerated. Crypto mining?
They do have some fans at the back.
No.
Oh yeah. Well, crypto mining, even with 750 Raspberry Pis, is probably going to be inefficient.
You'd probably be better off with your Athlon MP system for crypto mining, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah, it's no. If you are doing any type of threaded rendering, computing, what have you, that you need all of those nodes and you need them to work individually to process each job, but as a whole to build a bit of software to render a movie, whatever it is, that is actually really good and is probably priced stupidly expensive because it looks it.
See, Pedro does a much better job.
Good, so it's very expensive
of explaining this, because it's like, Venn, why does this exist? Why did you build this? It's like, because I could. Like,
yeah,
done. I'm out. So, Pedro, we live off everyone's feedback. If they have thoughts, hints, allegations, things we got wrong, sometimes we get right, or just maybe something they want us to cover, or just chit chat, something going on. How can they go about getting the communication line so we can read it out on the show and offer our unbiased opinions?
Well, if you see us walking down the street, you can throw a tin can at our heads tied to a string and then just chat into that tin can. But probably, since you're watching this show on the interwebs, you just go to our web zone, that's linuxgamecast.com, and you hit the little contact button, you fill in the form, make sure to select LWDW from the drop-downy bit, that's all that matters, and your feedback will feature right here, right now. Unless it's something that we can just answer on the spot, you're probably looking for an answer right then and there, then we'll get right back to you. But if you just want to leave some feedback, as Venn said, something we got wrong or got right that you'd like to expand on it, by all means, let us know. And the Targos, we talked about him earlier. You give us some Patreon love. And he also apparently watched the show last week.
Do you want to summarize this? Because this is like 2 novellas.
Yeah, it is a bit big. But yeah, it's about the Barcelona story that we talked about last week. That Barcelona is dropping LibreOffice to start with, and their plan is to eventually get to using full Linux. And he's actually talking about the Office thing. And I specifically mentioned the whole using Excel and the macros is probably not going to work in LibreOffice if they're changing stuff between municipalities. And he brings that up. There are plugins and certain things that you can only do with Microsoft Office itself. If you, say, use LibreOffice, you use Google Docs or WPS Office because you're that person, you will probably be able to replicate much of that same functionality, but that does not mean compatibility. So that is still going to be an issue, and he literally ends it saying that there were differences in the precision of calculations of between Excel and Calc. That's back from the Office 2003 days. Between Windows and Linux. Hope that has been sorted out. And to the most point, as far as I know, it has, because LibreOffice Calc is actually a very good spreadsheet application. Go figure.
No, it's good to know. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And because for the most part, we're like you, and we don't know everything. So a little bit of corrections, a little inside knowledge. You know, I remember we had someone from Charter who works at Charter. He's like, here's your problem, buddy. And it's always fun to find out stuff like that. Yeah, alternatives with the Floss ecosystem, it can be hit or miss. An argument could be made is it's kind of a vicious cycle because, yeah, all right, let's say you are based on Excel and you know 100%, and you have a soulless corporation backing that guarantee that everything, the numbers are going to get crunched correctly. So it can be a hard sell. This is something people don't think about all the time, is the higher ups are like, okay, if this thing breaks, who do we sue?
Liability is a big thing.
That can be a thing in open source. So that's kind of like being the boss. The responsibility's on you. Okay, beautiful people, that's going to wrap us up for this week's Linux Weekly. Daily Wednesdays, we will have the live stream uncut version for patrons up a little bit later, and the MP3 podcast for your ears, linuxgamecast.com. It's in the streams feed. And thank everyone again. Also, special thanks to everyone who's been ordering the Humble bundles. Like if you go to our support page, we get a little Humble thing. And double thanks to everyone ordering through Amazon affiliate links. That adds up. That is starting to become a little bit of a secondary income thing for us, and that's very important. So, how about we roll them credits?
Ooh, yes. Because all you lovely people that put up with us, I mean, for some reason, you thought it was a good idea, that Saturday show, what we do, and you thought, you know what?
They really don't. Like Pedro, quit lying. Listen, this entire
really
thing.
Like to see those guys.
Every time something disappears off of our wish list, I just collectively add to, okay, this is a practical joke on me that has gotten out of hand, and no one is brave enough to tell me yet.
Well, your first clue would have been the pink chair that Truggy got you.
I specifically asked for a pink chair.
Yeah, that is true.
Listen, man.
102, we're getting there.
102 next week, 2 years, baby.
Oh yeah. Well, week after,
or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 104. Yeah. All right, math, Venn. It's hard.
Yep.
Same project as. Boom. Yeah, thanks for the chair, Trugs. No, I'll negotiate. I'll set a pink chair.
He does.
We were able to put that $50 towards other equipment, man. Yeah, all right. I'll set in a pink chair if it's going to enable cheat mode for us to do other better stuff. So, I mean, things like that are important. And somebody was asking me on Twitter, was like, hey, put that Microsoft laptop on the wish list. I was like, nope, this is just for the studio stuff, man.
Although, a person who said that to Venn on Twitter, you want to, provide said toy, I can totally give you a link to my wish list. Just saying. Because it is a toy, make no mistake. I will play around with it. And if you buy it for us, well, guess what? It's going to be on video. To uh, some extent, after Venn's done with the chopping.
Hey man, you almost single-handedly taught me how to use KDN Live.
Hey, I was useful. Woo!
I'm just saying, let me rephrase that. I learned keyboard shortcuts because of Pedro. I got editing. I was like, this is taking too long to do with the gerbil. I need hotkeys, so I've got most of those memorized.
Yes, vote.linuxgamecast.com.
Yep. Let's go take a look at that. We did have voting enabled.
Hi, yes, the Solus Corporation.
Vote.linuxgamecast.com and Solus Corporation, followed by Linux Unity. There's a Python in my OBS. I don't know. That's crazy enough to work. I'll give that one an uptoot. Praise FM. All right. Just got to do that because I'm dog fooding. I said that one. Big Kahuna Burger. Straight, are you just making stuff up, man? I'll give Trugs a vote because I'm not above using Spectre Shite Show.
Yeah. Okay, so the Solus Corporation was more of a play on how Venn said Solus Corporation. Not entirely sure what I just said now, but it was something in between the two.
Trugs, it does. As somebody with an Amazon business account, also don't trust them all the time because you're like, oh, you're getting business. But open that up in another browser in your regular Amazon account because sometimes it's not cheaper on business. We should think world-class hinges. I'm sure this is just generic, made in China. I had this company come over to estimate what it would cost to put like double pane windows in this house. I got a lot of windows.
Yeah.
And dude was like, yeah, you're looking at like, what can you do it for? Like halfway get it done. He's like, about 27,000. And yeah, it's like, you know what? I'm cool, man. Thanks for coming out. He gave me this anyway.
Yeah, that's a lot of windows. 27,000. It's very expensive windows. I would sit in front of those windows and stare at them after spending that much money. Not looking at what outside the windows, but just stare at the windows themselves.
I don't know what I'd do. I'd just be like comatose. Like I'd be in like a fugue state or something, man. Like, if I had to part, it took me. See, I tricked myself when I bought Turbojet a few years back because I don't like spending that kind of money. But I had whittled myself down and defeated myself. That part of me is like, don't spend money. So I bought a gang of stuff right after buying the car. That was like the last thing I bought. Big item. I do have. I live in a house full of windows, and a lot of my windows are 2.5, almost 3 meters in height.
Yeah. That's a lot of glass to be hauled.
Now, in all fairness, these weren't the cheapest ones they had, but they were not like the ones that took you out on a date first.
They'll buy you dinner just to convince you that, yes, you are making the right choice in buying that very, very expensive pane of glass.
I mean, I got a 3-story house, too, so. I got a 3-story house with like 3/4 of it's empty. I'm not buying stuff to put in rooms just because they're empty. I'm sorry. Not happening. I didn't even want to buy a house. It was just, it would have been stupid not to buy this for what I got it for.
Yeah, my next really, really big investment. Yeah, I'm going to have to buy a car. There's no working around it. And once I buy a car, I can actually move outside of Cambridge into a place where the rent isn't eye-scratching. Because right now we're paying £750 a month for this very teeny tiny place. And like 10 minutes outside of Cambridge, you can get a 3-story house for like £500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
3-story house. God damn it!
Of course, they're UK-size houses too. So,
yeah, but still, 3-story house for £500 a month. Yeah,
Strider, if you ever become homeless, you can come live in parts of my house because, I mean, there's more than enough room. It's nothing. My friend Wesley, he's got a legitimate McMansion. I mean, I've been to his house looking for him, didn't find him. He was home. Didn't matter, still borrowed his Tesla that day because I knew where the keys were. With a little fob thing in the garage. Yeah, compound. See, we're not doing that in the house. Mm-mm. I'm not on that. The point of owning this house is being able to sell it.
Not just having random human-shaped holes punched through walls.
Right. No, I'm thinking like eventually in the future. I mean, it's 100%, maybe not buying, but definitely renting out a warehouse type deal.
Yeah.
Where everyone just be like, yo, open doors. BYOB.
The house will be improved.
It's been improved, man. I put a ton of money into this place because it was in rough shape when I got it.
No, I think Strider meant when he started squatting at your place. I don't know about improved, Strider, but definitely a bit more French.
No, then it'll smell like crepes and arrogance.
Which is fine. I mean, some people like to pour some sweet stuff on the crepes. So it'll just be that sickly sweet smell of arrogance.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a Humble Bundle out if anybody wants to go buy it with our affiliate link or some shit like that. Or just go buy it. Mm-hmm. It's got, what was it? Free Jack brought it
all
up.
But one game.
Yeah, I think
all
it
but
was
one
like
game.
Magica 2 or something like that I didn't have. And that's like a $20 game. I gave him $5. Mm-hmm.
If you like Paradox games, admittedly they mostly publish real-time strategy games, mm-hmm. but they also do other stuff. So if you're still missing a few of those on your collection, go get it.
Yeah.
Is it more than one?
Mm-hmm. Gee, if we only had access to the internet on our show.
See, Humble Bundle. Okay, so where's the Paradox bundle? Okay, Majesty 2 does not have Linux. Arts of Iron 3 and Europa Universalis 3. So we're both wrong on that one mirror. It's 3 games that don't support Linux.
What the hell is the Paradox? Oh,
let's click on the Paradox.
Yeah. Cities in Motion 2 have, Magica 2. Majesty 2. Yeah, Pillars of Eternity they sent us copies of that, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wasn't a big fan of that game. And Stellaris, which...
Fine folks at Obsidian, turns out they're actually pretty good when they develop a game instead of taking someone else's property and developing a game off of that. That's the Obsidian curse.
Ever considered tabletop sim? That has been suggested.
I have that. I think it was on a bundle.
I will stream it. I'm not.
In a bundle.
I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, if you can get some people together, we can stream it.
Yeah.
That's one of our Patreon things. This is not like the big thing. It's going to be announced next week, but we're eventually going to get to the Friday, what would you call it, public access night, because that lets a lot of people like Foxy and Space Australia, and you don't have to worry about getting it for work on Saturdays unless you work on Saturdays. I work on Saturdays, so I'll be feeling it, but I can swing it. Yeah, to do stuff like tabletop sim shows, do a round table, pull everyone in a big Google Hangout, come up with some fun topics.
Yeah.
And just go off on them. Yeah, to give everyone a chance. Well, it's easy to say, Steve-O. I need some emails with some names, some people agreed to it, some plans to do it. That's... We have the technology to do it. I can't organize everything.
Yeah, there's so many mods for tabletop sim for all the board games, so we could probably get something.
It's like, why don't you do a D&D thing? I mean, Jordan did D&D. I mean, he goes to his local like meat space and does it now at a game show. And yeah, that's cool. I mean, we could do something like that. I'm not doing that. Because if you,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have nothing against D&D. I don't know a whole lot about it, but what I've watched of it and tried to learn from it, I know enough where it's not my bag, baby. Nope, not even remotely.
I used to do all the social Magic the Gathering things like Friday Night Magics and all that. I got to the point where I was good enough against the people that played at around the same place that I could just go into a Friday Night Magic with like 4 boosters from last week that I'd won and I didn't open. It's like, here's my ticket. All right,
Secret Hitler, I have heard good things about this. I missed out on that. I didn't miss out on it. By that age, alcohol was a factor in my life. Plus, I was in a couple of bands. So, like Friday, Saturday night, we're booked. The Gathering, I don't know.
Yes, Magic the Gathering is still a thing. In fact, it's doing much better now than ever because they put out a couple of good expansions. I haven't played. I don't know. It's been over 7 years now. But yeah, they put out some really good expansions for people who like drafting, which was basically me. Drafting, sealed decks, non-constructed formats, basically. I was all over that shit, and it's if I ever get to the point where I go, yeah, okay, I have £10, I can trick myself into spending on a Friday Night Magic. Maybe I'll start doing that again, but not right now.
Steve-O, do you want to see my Gibson SG and or Washburn collection? Also, I play cello. I taught myself. Oh, and I play saxophone. I taught myself how to do that too. Yeah, Secret Hitler looks like it'll be kind of fun. And we still do cards. Cards is a bitch to set up. I need to make a template for that.
Yeah.
But we'd also like to do...
Ooh, Ice Age. Wow. Okay.
People, man. Golf with Friends got an update recently.
90s. Yeah, it did. Let's see. Ice Age, was it 96, 97? Ice Age Magic. Let's see. When did you come out? 95. It was even before then. Damn. Yeah. Yeah, I started playing around the Urza Saga, Urza's Legacy. Let's see. Urza Saga Magic. When did you come out? 1998. Yeah, sounds about right. That was my start with Magic.
Yeah, dodged all that. Dodge a bullet. is a bad thing, but it's also a good thing. That's like the less stuff to.
I remember I was 7 or 8, and I saw like the grown-up kids at school playing Magic in like the alphas and betas and revised and whatnot. It's like, I want to play that. I want to play that. My parents were like, nope, too expensive. And they gave me an allowance, and I started using my allowance to buy a booster pack every now and then.
Yeah, we did Shrugs. One thing I've been meaning to do was the party, the Jackbox. It's like, oh, they have the beta support for the first one, which is, I think, almost unanimous. That word, unanimous. I think that's the best one. And I was like, whoa, you want $24 for that? Yeah, okay. Next time it goes on sale, I'll yoink that. Because it doesn't have official. Yeah, if it had official Linux support, I'd give them $24, but I ain't giving them $24 until they put up.
Do their testing for them. Yeah. It's the Jackbox Party Pack. It also has, I think the one I played was Fibbage.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has Fibbage. Yeah.
Yep,
which is actually a pretty fun game. Yeah.
Yeah, Foxy was big on Gang Beasts. Gang Beats or whatever it's called. That was like 25 minutes of my life. I didn't hate it, but I had no idea what I was doing. Like none.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just there. I felt like the camera guy. Which is fine.
I remember there was some YouTuber that I was subscribed to at the time that started like the early alphas of Gang Beasts. I remember thinking, that'd be pretty fun. And then you actually start playing, it's like, oh god, this is a mess. Not a bad mess by any means, it's just everyone's throwing punches, you can barely see your character.
Well, I can see
it's
that.
It's definitely very good after show bait.
Way back in the day, it was like, when, 2005 or whenever this thing entered development. Like, they released it from early access. It's like, how can you tell? Also, Refract, creators of Distance, just released the game. You're doing incremental updates at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not...
Stop wearing that early access shield, goddammit.
I got that update. It was like 30 megs. If you're pushing out 30 meg updates... You're doing minor bugs. The game's done, man. But we gotta finish the story mode. No one cares about your story mode. No.
That's not where the meat of that game is. You could just make a bullshit last level and throw a wall of text to explain what happened. It'll be fine. No one will care. The people are in it for the milliseconds.
Well, I do wish they'd have a mode where it was you couldn't hack your way through the levels.
Yeah.
Make it a mode.
Just have like energy walls or something that blow you up the moment you get off the track.
Mm-hmm.
Like, stay on the track, stay on the path. Done.
That'd be cool. Because that's what I would like. But I understand that people like digging around and finding ways to glitch through, and that's 100% legit. It's just, for me, if I'm racing against somebody, I want to see who's the better speed racist.
Go, speed racist.
Cyanide and Happy. Go look it up. It was made in a time before political and cultural outrage was like you couldn't apply humor to it.
Nope.
Yeah, Trackmania is nice. I get Trackmania too. I burnt a Heretic purchase on the first one and the second one. I have like part of. Like,
yeah, you have part of the second one.
Yeah, I didn't buy the whole thing. They like split it up. And it was like $2. It's like okay.
Yeah. I bought the full Trackmania 2 for $5, about €5 at the time.
Yep, I have it on CD with the 3D glasses. Well, I get it on DVD with 3D glasses. All right, have fun, Mute.
The first one was let's see. I played a lot of just the free one, Nations. That was like first year of university. Everyone who wasn't playing World of Warcraft was playing Trackmania. Then I got a friend of mine lent me his DVD for Forever United or United Forever, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Trackmania United Forever.
That's when I played all of it. Yeah. I remember like the touring car. It was just get on the power, get on the freaking power. And then you'd get to a turn, understeer all the way.
I dig Trackmania, man. It is that is like genuinely. If I'd ever sit back, it's like make an arcade racer that's fun and a little bit screwy. If I like laid out my design plan for that type of game, Trackmania is it.
Mm-hmm.
It requires just enough skill.
In Portugal.
Mm. Have one already.
It turns out first and second place are just way too far. They have way too many points. Yeah, I'm not getting past them anytime soon. So yeah, third place I will be. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah, you guys get the crew together. I'll stream it. Let's put this place to use. He says, implying that it's not put to use.
Wait, didn't we just do a show? Or did I imagine that?
Doing one tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mine plays in Magicka 2. How many people can play Magicka 2?
4?
4 player? We might do some multiplayer of that for Thursday night stream tomorrow. If I talk Jordan into it. I've never played it, so.
I played a little bit of the first one. I don't think I ever played the second one. Magical 2. Oh, I already have Magicka 2. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Co-op. Co-op. Yes, but how many players co-op? Here. Magicka 2 max players.
Warhammer 2?
Total War Warhammer 2?
Subnautica is number 1. Dragons. I don't think we got no football managers on Linux. Well, I don't know. Was 2018 on Linux?
They're all on Linux since 2015, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, that's Dragon's Dogma. Yeah, that would be an awesome game if they actually brought it over to Linux. I finished it, played it on on Wine, but yeah, bring it to Linux. Slay Spire. I think that has a Linux version planned at some point. Oh, Total War Warhammer 2 is in there twice. Oh, Tyranny. That's also on Linux.
Mm. F-25. Somebody who likes stability? I don't know who. Oh, man. Oh, what was it? I enjoyed Discovery. That was good. Like that little twist there at the end.
Discovery was good.
And I watched that new thing that is on Stars. They had the first episode up. Let me check. What was it called? Counterpart.
Oh.
Took a look at that.
I saw something about that, but I didn't actually.
Yeah, it was like a Two Worlds thing, and I was like, oh, I'll take the Pepsi challenge. And yeah, I'm not renewing my Star sub on Amazon Prime for that one. It's like, yeah, it's watchable. You know what? I'll watch it when I get my Star sub back for American Gods.
So they're basically taking the Fringe story and
Yeah.
running with the
Got some fringy
yeah.
vibes. It's fringy minus golden Statue of Liberty and flowers.
Yeah.
I mean, weird shapes. So it's definitely a thing.
All right, I'll see if it's in the local video store.
Oh, empty. Break out
watch.
a Sun keyboard. It goes past 12. Oh, I do want to give a shout out to what's it called? 4K video downloader, which has a Linux client. Now I know everyone's knee-jerk reaction is YouTube, downloader DL. That thing's been performing like butt lately. I mean, taking almost 2 hours to download our videos because, like, if we do a live stream, I download it because stupid monkey YouTube doesn't provide a 60 frames per second version for us to download. It only offers at 30, which is artards. And nothing I could throw into YouTube DL would make it download any faster. I fired up the 4K video downloader. Boom, done. Has a GUI. Once you get over the fact that it has a GUI, it's not bad.
I used YouTube DL a lot when I first moved here because no internet at home, so I'd go to the pub, download all the videos, and then when I was home, I'd watch them.
Seems legit.
It's like, oh, look, they have fiber here at the pub, so let's just download the 1080p versions. Done.
Hedge Wars. Yeah, I played Hedge
that's the
Worms clone.
Worms open source clone. Yeah.
It's like Worms on Linux, except it works.
Yes. Or you're not playing the PS2 version on PCSX2. Slay the Spire has a Linux version already. Oh. Alright, okay. Because I was actually looking at that game because of the whole deck building thing. Spire. Slay the Spire.
Closest thing to a card game I could ever get my mind around was Hand of Fate 2, but when they still didn't get the fighting mechanic right.
It's still early access though, so no. I'll wait till it's finished. It's fine. I like me some roguelikes and throw in some deck building. It could work.
Don't worry.
So yes, and it is overwhelmingly positive.
He said deck building, ladies and gentlemen. Get your minds out of the gutter. It's Wednesday, not Saturday. MP3s.
Not yet, Truggleswick. Not yet. I am past the halfway point, but yeah, I still have to actually get around to finishing it. It's just that the side quests, I'm at a point where I actually deal so much damage that I can actually afford to do the side quests without the enemies just being bullet sponges, because that's the big problem with that game. Everything is a freaking bullet sponge. But yeah, now I'm doing all right. So I've been doing all of the side quests, just going back and doing all of the side quests.
Ped, what? All right, we got anything else going on, everyone? I'm gonna bounce out of here so we can turn this into a podcast, video, internet thing for the internet. Maybe, I don't know.
Yes.
What do you got going on this evening, Pedro?
See, after this, I'm gonna go stare at the fridge, figure out what to do for dinner, and then I don't know. Then I might actually play the game What We're Throwing Chairs At.
Sounds like a fun time.
Yeah. You do want to wait till the end of early access? Yeah, yeah. It's just the thing that got me about that game was it's roguelite, whatever you want to call it. And it has a deck building mechanic that's your abilities. Like everything you do, you have to pick from a deck. So you're literally throwing cards at at the enemies and seeing what sticks. And you start off with some really bad cards, and you have to improve on those cards over multiple runs. That's the idea. Oh, you're messing with my voice. All right.
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe. I just saw people was like, demonic Pedro.
There, I've done it again. We'll be playing with it. That's what I did on Monday. I explained it on the stream. I spent a day fighting. Well, I spent all Sunday evening fighting with this mixer. Then Monday, I worked on getting the digital part. Kids, if you can avoid it, don't buy a half analog, half digital mixer. They're nightmare fuel. But we were sticking to our budget, and this does everything we need. If this was all digital, this would have been 2 clicks, but we found a way to make it work. Probably enough to where I'll do a video.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is how you do this. Oh, well, we got a bunch. Free Jack, like legit, got a bunch. Because I can stack these things. All right. It's been fun. It's been real. We love you. We hope you die in a fire. Yes. And come hang out with us tomorrow or Saturday if you can make it. It'll be fun. It'll be good times.
Indeed.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for showing up. Joe, I'm going to send you a message about the thing with some stuff. All right? I promise to do it in a timely manner this time because I won't get sidetracked. Peace out. Or whatever. Is that what the kids, or are they still saying peace out?